Hello, my name is Jewel. This video clarifies a common confusion, how perception is often mistaken for thinking, emotion, or intuition, and where direct knowing fits into that sequence. Perception is the direct recognition before reaction. Thinking, emotion, and intuition are responses, either to what has already been perceived or to what the system is actively managing. When perception is misidentified, the entire internal sequence becomes disordered. Adding direct knowing helps restore that order. So let's dive a little bit deeper. Perception versus thinking. Perception, immediate, quiet, pre-verbal, no comparison, no argument. Thinking, sequential. It explains, compares options, builds reasons, seeks certainty. If you cannot yet explain it and do not need to, that is perception. If you are weighing outcomes or building a case, that is thinking. Perception arrives before language. Thinking arrives to justify or interpret. Perception versus emotion. Perception, neutral in tone, settled, informational, does not push you to act. Emotion, charged, reactive, moves toward or away, seeks expression or relief. If there is heat, pull, or aversion, that is emotion. If there is clarity without charge, that is perception. Perception does not demand movement. Emotion often does. Perception versus intuition. And this is where most confusion happens. Perception, present moment. Context specific, non predictive, ordinary, and obvious. Intuition, pattern based, often future oriented, felt as a sense or a hunch, experienced as significant or meaningful. If it feels plain and obvious, it is perception. If it feels like guidance or a message, intuition. Perception is recognition. Intuition is interpretation of patterns. Both can be accurate. They are not the same. So up to this point, we have looked at what perception is before anything interferes and how intuition interprets or expands on it. Now we're going to add direct knowing. Direct knowing is what perception becomes when it is allowed to complete its arc without being managed. Direct knowing is perception that has moved into conscious clarity, recognition that does not require explanation, perception that is no longer competing with emotion, intuition, or thought. If it is quiet, settled, and final, not because it concludes anything, but because nothing in you is resisting it. Direct knowing does not add insight. It simply reveals what perception already registered. It is not intuition. It does not predict, guide, or suggest meaning. It is the completed form of perception, not a message. The natural sequence when nothing is blocked is 1, perception recognizes what is. 2, direct knowing stabilizes that recognition. 3, emotion may respond. Intuition may contextualize. Thinking may articulate. This is the correct internal order. Now, when the human operating system is active, or when the management takes over, the sequence reverses. Thinking leads. Emotion amplifies. Intuition fills gaps. Perception gets crowded out. Direct knowing cannot form. This reversal causes confusion. The simplest test is to ask internally, is this trying to convince me? If yes, it's thinking or emotion. If no, perception or direct knowing. Perception never persuades. Direct knowing never argues. So let's go into some everyday examples. Relationships. Perception. This does not fit. Direct knowing. Settled clarity without story. Emotion. Sadness, fear, or hope. Thinking, reasons to stay or leave. Intuition, a sense of where things might lead. In work, perception, this is complete. Direct knowing, quiet finality. Emotion, anxiety about what's next. Thinking, plans and contingencies. Intuition, a sense of future direction. Money, perception, not now. Direct knowing, calm timing. Emotion, fear of missing out. Thinking, calculations. Intuition, a hunch about opportunity. Direct knowing removes uncertainty. Intuition adds interpretation. They should not be swapped. Perception is quiet and plain, which is why it is often missed. Intuition is meaningful, which is why it is often overvalued. Direct knowing is stable, which is why it feels final. When perception leads, the system no longer needs to manage. Direct knowing forms naturally. Intuition returns to its correct place. Thought becomes organized instead of compensatory. So let's look where intuition is most confused for perception in everyday life. So in relationships, the hope and projection, intuition will say, this could work. Perception, it does not fit. Direct knowing, quiet finality. If it references the future, intuition. If it is present, simple, and complete, direct knowing. Work and purpose, identity reinforcement. Intuition, this aligns with my purpose. Perception, this is complete. Direct knowing, settled recognition. If clarity requires identity, it's intuition. If clarity is neutral, perception or direct knowing. Money, timing and excitement. Intuition, this feels right. Perception, not now. Direct knowing, stillness around timing. If excitement is present, intuition. If timing is obvious without pressure, direct knowing. Healing. I cautiously use the word healing because the word healing has distortion. However, it is commonplace, so I will touch upon healing because intuition says this needs work. Perception, nothing is wrong. Direct knowing, clean neutrality. If effort is implied, intuition. If nothing needs to move, direct knowing. Restoring order. When perception leads, direct knowing stabilizes. Intuition refines. Thinking organizes. Emotion responds. When intuition leads, perception recedes. Direct knowing cannot form. Nothing needs suppression, only the internal order needs restoring. A final clarification. Perception establishes what is true now. Direct knowing stabilizes that recognition. Intuition explores what may unfold. When perception is offline, intuition overreaches. When perception is online, direct knowing appears naturally and sequence restores coherence.